It is week 9 of the high school football season, and our latest edition of the WKBN Power Rankings is all about the teams in contention for a conference crown and a possible trip to week 11, Chad.
If the regular season ended today, 14 teams from here in Ohio would qualify for the playoffs. And over in Pennsylvania, the regular season is over with 9 local teams in the District 10 tournament bracket.
Let's get right to our top 10 with our number 10 ranked team, Brookfield. The Warriors coming off a win, but they've got plenty of work left to do to make the playoffs. Right now, they are the 9th team in Division 6 Region 21. They need to beat Camel this Friday night and then red hot champion in week number 10. If they can do that, they'll be the All-American Conference champions and a playoff team for the first time in 4 years.
At number 9, Struthers. The Wildcats have won 4 straight and are coming off a 54-point performance last Friday night against Girard. Junior Aiden Hall scored 5 times in that game. Struthers is playing very well, and if they win out, they will be headed to week 11. But they have a couple of tough games ahead of them with South Range this Friday night and Poland in week number 10, a game that could very well be our WKBN Game of the Week.
Should be a good one. Moving on to number 8, Champion. The Golden Flashes have now won 7 straight, including a 1-point victory over Camel last Friday night to keep their playoff hopes alive. But they are barely hanging on in Division 5, and they have a couple of teams in the rearview mirror that could knock them out. Berkshire and South Range are just 1 point behind them, and both have tougher schedules ahead of them. Champion needs to win out to secure that spot in the playoffs, and that will not be easy with Brookfield looming in week number 10.
At number 7, Hubbard. The Eagles have beaten 3 teams in playoff contention this year already, and they have another opportunity this Friday night. They have a mega matchup with Poland, and a win over the Bulldogs would not only clinch them a spot in the playoffs, it may also give them home field advantage for the first round.
Speaking of Poland, the Bulldogs are our number 6 team, and they will be tough to beat. Poland has destroyed all 5 of the conference opponents they've played this season. They just dropped a season-high 63 points on Jefferson last Friday night and have outscored the teams in the NE8 by an average of 35 points per game. Now, their toughest games are ahead of them with Hubbard and Struthers, but the Bulldogs look really strong right now.
At number 5, Western Reserve. The Blue Devils move up another spot in our power rankings after last week's blowout win in our WKBN Game of the Week last Friday night. That was the 4th time this season they've scored 50 points or more, but the whole season comes down to this Friday night when they take on undefeated Springfield. A win would mean the playoffs and a conference championship, but a loss could cost them all of it.
Certainly a big game this Friday night. Moving on to number 4, Southern Local. The Indians are one of the most dominant teams in our valley this season without question. I mean, they've outscored the last 2 opponents 122-0. But just like Columbiana, Western Reserve, and Brookfield, they are fighting for a spot in the playoffs right now, and they cannot let up despite being undefeated. Yes, they have 2 winning football teams left on the schedule with Wellsville and Latonia, and there's a ton of computer points there, but those are Division 7 teams. So even if Southern wins out, they're likely on the road for the postseason.
At number 3 is where we find Farrell. The Steelers finished up their regular season with 7 straight wins and 7 straight shutouts. They've already won the Region 1 title, and they'll now look to defend their District 10 championship. We thought that was going to start this Friday against Cambridge Springs, a team that has already forfeited against the Steelers.
Moving on to number 2, Springfield. The Tigers may be the only team in the Valley to have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, and they've done it in the most competitive region in the state. And talk about teams that have dominated their league. Springfield is averaging well over 50 points per game against the MVAC. Now, this Friday night may be their toughest game of the season. Western Reserve has every intention of ending that perfect season. Should be a great game Friday night.
No doubt about that. And at number 1 is where we find Wilmington. The Hounds finished up the regular season undefeated for the 2nd time in 3 years, and apparently no one wants to play them. Both teams on their half of the playoff bracket have opted out, so Wilmington has already advanced to the District 10 championship game, and they'll have 3 weeks to prepare for it.
And they've already beat the other 3 teams on the other half of the bracket, Northwestern, Lakeview, and Greenville, and they weren't close games. So it looks like Wilmington is in for a nice long playoff run again this season. That's a wrap for week number 8. Make sure you tune in next Wednesday for our latest edition of the high school football power rankings right here at WKBN.com.